Are group coaching packages dead because of AI? I've heard this question a number of times in the last few months. And in this video, I'm going to break down why group coaching packages are actually struggling and what AI is threatening and what it doesn't threaten, and how you can, of course, build, change, evolve without having to drop your group coaching programs and go to one-to-one. Whether you're already running a group program or not does not matter. If you're just planning one, you are still in the right place. If you're new to this channel, I'm Stephanie Fiteni. I'm a marketing coach and online business mentor for coaches. I have been coaching online, coaching coaches for over 10 years. I have more than 12 years experience running my own marketing agency. And I have been in business for more than 20 years. And I am here today to help you unravel the hairball of this group coaching issue that we're running into with AI. So a lot of coaches have been quite scared that they're going to be replaced by AI. And some of them possibly might have seen a drop in their client base, a drop in their leads. There have been a lot of things changing in the marketing industry that can also have caused this, but there have also been shifts in the way your clients, your coaching clients actually perceive you. So what happened in the last few years is that there's been a big shift. Information has been free for a long time. So basically, with the onset of the internet, there was this big democratization of information. There was suddenly a lot of information. The internet was flooded with it. This information has been available for a long time. So whether we access it through AI or not is just the last layer of this new phenomenon. The information has always been there, but the AI has changed and accelerated the way we experience accessing that information. And the way we are experiencing accessing that information is actually getting someone else to really quickly collate it for us. And this obviously may seem like we need fewer teachers, we need fewer coaches, we need less guidance. Because there is a lot of truth in that as well. But basically, because I don't have to go out there on the internet and search little pieces of information and piece them together and maybe create a pathway for myself to learn, I might be under the impression, or even your clients might be under the impression that they don't need that much support anymore. So what this has done is it's raised the bar for people selling training and people selling coaching programs. What's happening is that self-paced videos, for a start, are not really that necessary anymore, because instead of watching a video about how to do something, I can really just go to the AI and ask it how to do it in just a few steps. But that is not really the nature of coaching. So how has it really changed coaching? Coaching in reality was never really about sharing information. Of course, there are coaches that just share a lot of information and tools, and they're probably the ones that might be fearing or struggling the most. Again, there's a distinction there. There may be more fear than there is real danger. But the truth is that our coaching clients are not looking for information when they look for a coach. They're looking to be seen, they're looking to be understood, they're looking to be guided through something that's going on in their lives that they feel is messy and difficult. If your offer or your coaching package relies heavily on delivering information, you're now suddenly competing with all these LLMs that are, frankly, obviously a lot smarter than you and have access to so much more information than you do, unless you're using them, of course. Actually, in a way, you have access to the same information, right? But obviously, this is frictionless for your potential clients to get hold of this information. So that removes you from the equation. And this is possibly one of the main reasons why group programs are struggling. Obviously, when you're teaching one-to-one, you are customizing everything for the client. You have time to go really deep in understanding the journey they're on. You can really support every shift and transformation that they need to go through, which may be less possible in a group coaching program. See, one of the backbones of a lot of group coaching programs is actually recorded video. And recorded instructional videos have become less popular because people can get the same information and they can get the same relief for the desire to learn something from actually just talking to an LLM or something like ChatGPT or Claude. So information alone is not really going to be important. One of the things also is that people do Q&A in these group programs. So you can have a recorded curriculum and then you have Q&As. Very basic, simple Q&A is something that actually can be done with these chats. So there's a bit there, a little bit of you're competing with an LLM and you're going to be on the losing side if that's all you're offering. So it looks a lot less valuable on paper these days. Information alone, however, does not get people moving. And this is where you need to gauge whether your ideal client or your audience actually understands that all the information in the world is actually not going to help them achieve the goal they need to achieve. And this is where it makes a difference. In your group program, then you have to reverse engineer this and say, okay, what is going to help them achieve their goal? And it's not going to be the information, and it's not going to be the Q&A sessions. And also, unfortunately, one thing that used to be really popular, still is popular, is community. And a lot of people sell group coaching programs as the community supports you and the community keeps you motivated. And it's true, the human connection really helps, but you have to be really careful because your community might just simply be 20 people, 30 people. I have been on group coaching programs when I was learning with 50 and even 60 people. And what tends to happen is these are great for the coach giving the program, but it leaves, except for a couple of people in the room, it leaves everyone feeling left behind and feeling like they cannot catch up because there are people who are in a better position to be moving a lot faster in the program. And there are those who have more difficulties. And this is something to really keep in mind because your group program is going to be very weak if it is leaving people behind. And you're going to really lose a lot of members. So it's very important that when you come to engineer a group coaching program, that is going to be forward looking, and we're going to go into details of that in just a minute. It's very important that it is designed in the right way. So, because community is great, but if the community is not serving as a way of really motivating, it is going to make people feel possibly even more lonely and left behind. So, it's one of those things, unfortunately. People get stuck because they overthink, they start spiraling over something, they've seen someone do something great. And the worst thing sometimes is that people see others succeed at something they want to do, and they try to do it the way someone else does it, but it's not the right way for them. They find that, I find that sometimes in groups, people can make less progress because they're not just open to the coach's opinion and path, but they're also looking at all these other paths that all these other people are taking. And that can be great for inspiration when you're on the call. But then when you're alone and you're trying to take action, you're overwhelmed and you're going to be even more stuck. So as a coach, it's very important to keep these things in mind. Now, of course, if you're running a group coaching program, you have probably already come across these issues and resolved them. You have already perhaps planned against them and they didn't happen for you. But I'm mentioning these things because if you're creating a program from scratch and you need to make a decision whether to go group or to one-to-one, this is something that you really need to keep in mind. The group coaching, I have had group coaching programs myself. I have had a lot of clients have amazing results, just as amazing as my one-to-one clients. But in my case, I felt that capping the group size made a very big difference. So this is something, for instance, that you might find that makes a really big difference. So we're going to come to actually looking at the details of how to build an AI hybrid coaching model that perhaps fits the AI era a little bit better. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the price gap because one of the biggest issues that's been happening here is that $20 recorded programs, €100 a month programs that just deliver information, group programs that are in the middle between €500 to €1,000 a month and put you in a group. And then obviously there's the one-to-one as well. So those are, so you're talking about the very low monthly, you're going a little higher, maybe to 100 euros. And there's the 500 to 1,500, which is the most common group coaching program. And then there's a big jump in price when you go to 3,000 to 5,000 for a one-to-one coaching program. So you have all these different tiers. And what's happening is that AI is eating the bottom tier. It is basically competing and destroying the bottom tier. So in a way, the lower value you go, the more you're competing with AI, which basically means that if you want to survive in the age of AI, it's important that you have a program that is very high quality. And the more customized it is, the better. This doesn't mean that you cannot have a hybrid model, but if you're going to have a hybrid model, then it becomes very important that you have less teaching, you have more action, you have more transformation, more depth, and definitely more presence from yourself. So if you're going to start building a coaching program, the first thing you're going to need to do, and of course, if you already have one, you already know what that is, you need to define the outcome. I think it's very important to have a very outcome-based coaching, very outcome-based coaching program so that you are not focusing really on the content. So this is a mistake I see a lot when I design packages with my clients, because one of the things I help them do is build strong foundations so that then their marketing actually works. The foundation being the ideal client, the coaching packages, the offers, and the pricing. If those things are not aligned, it's going to be difficult to make a sale. So one of the things we talk about is definitely creating the package, both the delivery and the messaging and sort of the whole journey that you take people through. And in this process, defining the outcome is very important. People always seem to be tempted to just jump straight into the content. So they're like, I'm going to offer free email. I'm going to have this PDFs. I'm going to have guides. I'm going to have workshops. I'm going to have tools. I'm going to have videos. I'm going to have meditations. So people tend to jump in and they start collecting all these resources that they need to, that they already have perhaps, or that they need to create. But this is actually the wrong way of approaching your package. So what you need to do is start off from the outcome, and you need to give yourself a little bit of a goal. So the goal needs to be, I will deliver this outcome no matter what. So when you go into the group program, there needs to be a little bit of flexibility, I believe, because if you really want your clients to succeed, you really need to work hard at finding out what they really need. And unfortunately, sometimes in a group context, that is not going to be very possible. So one way in which you can counteract this is having an onboarding call, a long onboarding call, or perhaps two for every single client. You want to also make sure that you understand the general pillars of what your clients need in order to succeed to get the outcome. And you want to make sure that these become little sprints or little group action that you actually deliver together. Because when people are working on something together, it becomes a very supportive environment. Whereas if you're all chasing the same goal, but you are not on the same journey, it can feel like some people are way ahead of others. So it's important that everybody gets as much support as they need. And this is something that I think is very important in the educational industry. It's a matter of equity, not equality. So you don't want to give everyone the same support. You want to give people the support they need. So if you have a client that you feel is getting stuck, maybe they have trauma, there are some things they can't get over, they are stuck in their mindset. Maybe they need an extra session with you. Maybe you need to dig a little bit deeper to find out what the problem is. Reach out to that person and say, hey, we need to have a one-to-one call. I feel that you're stuck. Let's get to the root of this. So this is what I mean. So of course, this is very easy to do in a coach. If you're the kind of coach that really likes supporting people as much as possible, this is something I do in my programs. I actually don't promise my clients a lot of hours, but I do extra hours because when I see that people need them. And I think, of course, a lot of my own coaches have told me not to do this because, of course, it doesn't drive the money, let's put it that way. But I feel that my business makes more than enough money, and I'm very happy to give my clients extra time if that means that they have a higher chance of succeeding. And I find that this mentality is going to really help you if you're going to go for a hybrid model. And hence, the hybrid model doesn't need to be fixed. You can promise people a number of hours of one to one. But I think in order to really help people and to really make them feel a part of your program, it's important to have this approach where you're going to give as much support as is necessary. And what is generally necessary for this, at least for me, different people can handle different groups. I would say I would not want more than 15 people in each group. Doesn't mean you cannot have a community. So it's okay to have, say, a community of 50, 100 coaches, but then you want to have the group calls in smaller groups of perhaps 15. And maybe you want to have a quarterly group, which is a group session, so that people have the chance to get to know each other. Maybe you can also have Zoom rooms and get people to actually engage and enjoy the community side of it. But I think what's very important is that there's the support. I think it's important that people are now used to going to AI and actually asking a question and getting what they want. So what's happening is that people are, in a way, rejecting overwhelm and going for simplicity. Because there is so much information available at our fingertips, a lot of people are overwhelmed because suddenly we feel like we can do so much more. But in reality, it's not getting done very much quicker. There's this element of having to constantly learn as well. So I think it's important that when we do have a group coaching program these days, we keep it as lean and simple as possible, where the path is clear, the support is as heavy as possible. And you build in this experience of actually having structured collaboration and support that comes in whenever you need it, so that they stay focused on their path, and slowly but surely, by working on the pillars that you give them, they achieve their results. So in a way, what I'm suggesting here is that although you have your curriculum and you know what works for your clients, to perhaps make it more outcome based and a little bit less structured. There are a lot of tools you can use out there to also add more interaction. But I think the kind of interaction that they really want is not some great whiteboard tool that allows you to draw and explain all the tools. But what people really want is more time with you. Another thing that I have been finding is really good and that you can leverage AI for is to actually create your tools. So you can actually create GPTs that you can give to your coaching clients so that they can work through whatever you've given them and have more support when you are not there. Again, it's not going to replace the contact. People still want you. And the more of you they're going to get, the happier they're going to be, the more successful they're going to be, and the more willing they're going to be to pay. Now, I can already hear you saying that if I give all this information, what kind of pricing do I have to go for? And this is where you have to get a little bit smarter. So you need to price perhaps different tiers. So as obviously different levels of support are going to require different levels of pricing. But again, if you use the equity model where you give everyone what they need, you can do a run like that and actually just give everyone as much as they need. Then in the long run, after you have gotten very clear as to what the different requirements might be, you may actually formalize the upgrades a little bit more, or just maybe charge a little bit something extra for those people who need more support. This is more or less how you can structure your new hybrid coaching programs. Group coaching programs are not completely dead, but they are definitely changing. I hope this video helped you make some decisions if you're in the process of deciding what your next group coaching program or your full group coaching program is going to look like in 2026. And if you need any help, feel free to reach out to me and we can meet on a discovery call and I can help you out if you've got some questions. The link is underneath this video. And thank you very much for following. Subscribe to this channel and I will see you again in the next video.